Today on Builds, we're building an intake for the built engine. We're going to get rid of the OEM PCV system, replace it with something a little bit more robust, and then we're going to clean the multi-air filter on the Fiat Abarth 124. Oh, and I have some good news. What's going on, folks? Eddie here. I hope you're having a fantastic day. So, today is going to be a wonderful day. Today is a glorious day. So, before we get started on what we're doing today, I just want to let you folks know that it looks like we found the part we need for the QV swap. I did a small dance around my living room yesterday. I'm absolutely ecstatic. So it looks like we found it. Just waiting for confirmation. There's a couple different part numbers that appear to be it, but not a big deal. I know how to get it. We're gonna get it. Once it's in my hands, I will introduce you folks to the individual that found it. Good Lord, thank you. You know who you are at this point. You are the man. Like, seriously. Yes. Just to kill that bit of time while we get that part in, now that we finally know where it is. Yeah, we're just gonna continue with the built engine for now. This will kind of occupy us through the month of December. Super excited. Today, we're gonna get the intake built for the built engine, and we're gonna get rid of the OEM PCV system. Reason we're doing this is more a curiosity than anything else when it comes to the PCV system. I've never deleted it on any of the cars before, but it's always been such a strange system that Fiat owners have had sitting under their hood. It's this big black box that sits right on top of the valve cover on a 500 or a Dodge Dart. In the 124, they moved it over top of the intake manifold. Now, the reason they did this is most likely hood clearance. On the 500, that thing drains back into the valve cover, whereas in the 124, because of the height, it has a drain that goes back down into the block. So its system is slightly different, but it's essentially the same. I've never understood what's fully going on inside of one of those things, so this is some serious Fiat nerd stuff coming up. So we decided to dissect that box. And it was a good lesson too. It helped to understand why it was built that way, why it was unnecessary in a lot of ways, and it helped to decide what we were going to do with the catch can system in the 124. And so far, I can tell you that I've liked it. You guys will see it very soon. It's just a catch can, but nonetheless, pretty rad. You'll see it in a moment. So I found last time replacing the small accordion pipe on my 1752 Abarth 124 that the mid-range cleaned up and there was a couple stumbles that were eliminated. That was the very first time there was any indication that an intake might do something on a 124. Outside of that pipe, when we were playing with the car on the dyno, changing the air filter, replacing the box, nothing else added any more power to the car, meaning the OEM air box and the OEM filter was actually doing a really good job. The point where that OEM filter actually became a restriction was right around 240 wheel horsepower. That's when we found that pulling the filter out and moving to either no filter or a Can-N bumped up the horsepower. So that was the point that the car actually needed a bigger filter. And this is why on a stock turbo car, I don't actually think an intake is at all necessary. 100% waste of time and money, at least in terms of if you're looking for power. Now, intakes sound kind of cool and that makes them fun. So if you like that sound of an intake, get one, go for it. As long as it doesn't cause any problems on the car, fantastic. And if it can be upgraded later in time for a bigger turbo, a stuffed turbo, or something along those lines, well, so then you might actually see the benefit out of that intake. When you get an intake for your car, do not assume it's going to add any power. I found the same thing with the Fiat 500. Before I had Fiat 124s, I had a Fiat 500 Sport Turbo. And I tried putting intakes on that car, and it never added any horsepower. It became a decent supporting mod once I started getting that car tuned. But in fact, the intake that I used ended up being a restriction. I'm not even gonna bother what intake that was, but it was definitively a restriction. I couldn't get past like 100 and, what was it? I think it was 192 horsepower. That intake literally limited the car at. Moving to a big ass 3-inch pipe, well, that made the car hit like 200 horsepower, but this is years ago. This is ancient history. The 500s gain more on an intake, but it's pretty easy to see why. If you take a look at a Fiat 500's air intake system compared to the 124, it's a lot more convoluted, it's a bit more of a mess, and it relies on pulling out of an air snorkel that's about this big. On that note, if your intake goes from the turbo inlet and ends up back at that little tiny inlet at the front of the car, that's how big your intake is. You want to make power? Make sure it's not connected to that little inlet, or come up with a more creative way to draw from somewhere else. You will make more horsepower, 100%. But anyhow, so we pieced together this intake. It was a bit of a happy accident, but that's okay. Lastly, we ended up cleaning the multi-air filter, and I'm not going to tell you too much now, but I'll tell you this. it made a difference. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to hit that like button, smash it if you so desire, and don't forget to subscribe. It's what your mom would want you to do. Your dad doesn't care. He left ages ago. He doesn't care about any of us. Why don't we just get started by hacking things apart? We're sacrificing car parts for science.
All that gray that's from that.
Plastic, yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to be careful cutting that up.
Can I see? Damn.
And it's kind of complex.
Yeah, I'd say.
So let's
Maybe staying around the perimeter really gently. That's gonna be kind of hard.
Okay, nothing was attached.
What is this?
I don't know what that is. Oh, I bet you that connects to this.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It's underneath it.
No, it's coming from them.
Is it actually coming?
Yes, it's coming up through those holes.
Another check valve. Let's see.
This is the check valve behind the PCV valve.
Two check valves. I'm gonna blow us out there.
Yeah, that's crazy. I wasn't expecting that. That's bizarre. That's Kevin.
Hello.
So John doesn't have everything in his shop. We need to go get one of these for the catch can. So this is, I think, a ½ inch or something like that, or whatever. We need to get 5/8 to make this catch can work. I wish we had O'Reilly's in Canada.
Oh, you guys don't?
No, we don't have O'Reilly's in Canada. We have Part Source. We don't have any AutoZones. We have Lordco in BC. Lordco's pretty good. I don't even understand how this works. This PCV system in this car is stupid. I thought I understood it before today, and now I feel like I know less. So here's the aftermath of John developing the new catch can system for the 124. Which means the built motor will never have to see that damn PCV system. I'm so happy about that. So one thing happened while we were developing this thing. Made some bad calls. I think I suggested it, which was a horrible idea. Definitely filled the engine bay with a lot of oil at one point. But it's all sorted now. Everything seems to be working really well. It's kind of cool. It's actually working with a breather on the one side of the catch can too. It'll work either way, but really happy with that. It's a dual catch can system. You guys can take a look at it right here. And yeah, so since everything was so full of oil, I pulled the intake apart to start cleaning it up. And, well, I ended up about here. So I've got a silicone coupler sitting there, and there's a K&N sitting in the box. And that's because between John and I, we made an intake. Ultimately, I want to hook this thing up so it's not using any of the OEM lines running to it. For now, just using the factory air box. It's so that those two lines are still attached. And we're going to connect the pressure sensor up near the inlet and see what happens. But ultimately, when this goes on to the built engine, I don't want any of those lines attached. I want a simple intake. It should basically be a tube and a filter. I'll show you the intake piece that we've made. So I just grabbed some stuff from around the shop and started piecing this together. And yeah, I ended up with something pretty good. It's pretty basic, but it's pretty good. It is just a tube. That's it. So we took this and a couple couplers, we're attaching to the airbox, and we're going to see if we are able to get it to work okay without it throwing a code. Simplifying those lines coming off the intake, that's excessive. The way it's set up, it's just a bit much. So we're going to try and get it easier. So we're going to powder coat this, wrinkle black, I'm going to put it together. I'm going to drive home on it today, and we're going to see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't throw code. If it does, we work on it from there. But the final version that'll go into my car for the built engine, it's not even going to have this. We're going to eliminate all that. coating standard.
Woo! Still a little warm, but
See?
you can handle it. The ring cattle.
Oh, that looks fantastic.
Looks good.
Right on. That's what I wanted to do with the last one on the black 124. Never got around to it.
This one's bigger though.
It is bigger.
This one will make more power.
We'll see. You know what I think of intakes. I think they're a good supporting mod. I don't necessarily think they really do much on a pretty stock car. But
No, you said last time with the 1752 when you put that intake in there, it helped clear up that mid-range.
yeah, it did. That was with the 1752. That was with a bigger turbo. This is a modified stock turbo. Like, pass that flashlight. Just as a refresher, folks, here's the compressor wheel on the turbo that's in the car right now. So that's a 42 millimeter wheel right there. And like I said before, neither of us are super happy with this exact one that's in this car right now.
We got a better one coming.
Exactly. You do have someone else's turbo here right now, though. That'll be funny. Check one last thing before I get out of here. So really quickly, we're gonna check the multi-air filter in my car. So the multi-air filter is right on the front of the engine on this car. John wants to really quickly check the state of it, just because we've never looked at it considering all the problems this car has had. We did a compression check earlier, and the bottom end seems like it's pretty healthy. We're getting 235, 240, 240, 215. So back cylinder down a tiny bit, but really, even 215 is really, really good. So, yeah, let's just see how we do this. Ready, Johnny?
Yep.
There's some dookie in there.
Yeah, it doesn't look horrible though.
Well, let's bang on this thing a little bit.
Drastic. I'm gonna blow it out.
How'd that turn out? That work?
Got little metal flakes in there.
Doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah, a couple little tiny metal flakes in there.
Seeing metal flakes in this engine really is not a surprise at all.
Yeah, but
If you haven't been on this channel before, this car's engine's not exactly great. It's the reason we're doing the QV swap. It's the reason we're putting in the built engine as a mediary. Just aside from its stellar compression, yeah, it's just not a 100% engine.
Eddie,
Yo.
this thing's cramped back full of shit.
the whole bottom of that filter is full of stuff.
All right.
So.
Oh yeah, there's stuff coming out of there.
Oh, what was that? Oh yeah, look at that.
Ooh, that's nasty.
Clean multi-air filter. And you just slip this right back into the little holy hole right there, and grab your whifty fizzy bang tool.
Is holy hole the technical? Holy hole? That's what you call it, is the holy hole.
The double, that's the holy one. All right, well now when you tighten this up, just, it took quite a bit of pressure to get it out. It does bottom out, and you'll feel it when it bottoms out. There we go. Starting to hit bottom. Snug. Come on, bottom out. Feels like it. Yeah, feels like we just about bottomed out. Yep, we bottomed out.
Okay, and that does it. So I'm gonna go put some miles on this car. Next time I'm down here, I think I might try and convince John to let us dyno the car and see how it's running now that we've done this maintenance, change the intake, clean that bad multi-air filter.
100%.
Especially now that we know the kind of compression the engine's making. That's interesting. The car felt better on the way home. It's better than it's ever felt, really. It was a bit of a surprise to me. I didn't realize how much of a difference the multi-air filter could do. Now, it could also be the intake. Just like you guys saw there, my car, while it has a stock turbo frame, it's not a stock compressor. The compressor in this turbo is much bigger than a stock Fiat's compressor wheel. The car might be making more power. It could just be seat of the pants, all excited because your car feels a bit better. You never know. This is why I rely on dynos so much. Dynos tell you what is actually going on, because we've all had that moment where we get a new part, we throw it on the car, we're super excited, car feels like it's making a bunch more power. Get it on the dyno and it doesn't make any more power. And this is not a Fiat thing, this is just a car thing. I don't trust it. Once we get on the dyno, we'll know what's going on, but at the end of the day, I don't care. Next time I'm down at torque for this car, the engine's coming out anyways. That's it. There's nothing else we have to do. So head should be back from the machine shop by the time I get down there, and we'll be able to move forward just putting in this engine. Feels weird kind of putting in something so temporary. I've never done anything like this in my entire life. Like putting an engine in temporarily. When I had that engine built, it was my end goal for the car initially. I think just running through this issue with this white car kind of soured me towards the idea, at least with a 124. You know how it is. Sometimes you get an idea in your head and you just have to run with it. Anyhow, so if you don't know what I'm talking about when I say the black 124, we have videos about that car right here. If you want to see our Fiat 500, you can click this video right here. And if you want to see my old Fiat 500, which had a TD05 in it and water to air and E85 and a whole bunch of ridiculousness, here's a playlist of some videos from other channels that we like. Anyhow, I hope you guys had fun. Talk to you later. Kisses.